We're back with day 3 of the NAB 2024 coverage. I'm here this morning with Alex Ferris from LucidLink, which is kind of a huge buzz company right now in the industry. Let's get straight into it. First of all, Alex, what do you do at LucidLink?
So I lead the solutions engineering team. We work with customers and partners on best practices, workflow consultancy, proof of concepts, helping them get the best out of the platform when they test it out.
Cool. So obviously COVID-19, lockdown, massive interest and effort going into cloud-based solutions and workflows. A lot of people get confused on what exactly everything does, and people might have a kind of a fuzzy idea of exactly where LucidLink fits in. They've heard about it, a lot of people raved about it. What exactly is it? What do you guys provide? What does your cloud solution look like? And how does that compare to some of the other offerings out there?
Great question. So LucidLink File Spaces is a storage collaboration platform. It leverages cloud storage, but in a completely different way to the other providers. What we do is enable creatives wherever they are in the world, hundreds or thousands of users, to work from a single source of truth, which means everybody's got the same versions of the files, but the key difference is they don't have to download those files in advance before they can work with them in their applications. So they save loads of time because they're not watching progress bars, they're not managing their own local storage, which means different versions of files, which means relinking projects, which means wondering if you're actually working on the right file. All of these problems go away when they connect to a LucidLink file space.
So my first reaction is that sounds impossible.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about what that experience is. I'm guessing you have synchronized servers with data in different locations. If I'm in London or if I'm in LA, I'm not pulling from the exact same server, is that correct?
That's a common misconception, actually, Damien, I have to say. So no, we are not a synchronization service.
Okay.
In fact, we're completely different. What those services are doing are automatically making copies of files in multiple places. And that's exactly what leads to time delay or people working on different copies. You have to wait for the synchronization to complete. LucidLink completely removes the need to synchronize data, and everybody's working from one set of files in the cloud. The key point is the files are already in a format up there that the applications on the ground can understand without needing to download them or synchronize them to local devices.
And so, am I working with a proxy of the footage? Am I like caching? How does this work effectively so that I feel like I'm working with native footage?
Yeah, great question. Again, people think we have to modify the data in order to efficiently stream it essentially to the applications on the ground, but we're not modifying data. So whatever you put into a LucidLink file space is exactly what you get out. A LucidLink file space mounts to the operating system of the user, whether it's Windows, Mac OS or Linux, as a local disk. So it just looks like any other disk that you'll be working with. If you copy in a high-res file, then double-click it, you'll get that high-res file back out. If you copy in a proxy, you double-click that file, you'll get the proxy back out. We can't actually read the customer data. We offer something called zero-knowledge encryption, which means we don't know what the data is, so we wouldn't transcode media because we'd need access to it in order to generate that low-resolution proxy. It's really interesting for users and customers because they can choose which workflow they want to use, and it might be something they've been doing for a while, a familiar workflow with an existing tool set, maybe leveraging proxy workflows in Premiere, maybe working on high resolution or color correction. It really doesn't matter. LucidLink's technology enables the efficient streaming of just the data that the applications need in order for the user to complete their job.
So let's talk about kind of a couple of examples of workflows. For an offline workflow, what kind of bandwidth do I need as a client? And if I'm doing something more like online work, like color grading, what are we looking at?
Sure, well there's no minimum requirement for bandwidth. We are a cloud-hosted solution and we are a single source of truth for the user, so you have to maintain connectivity to it. But LucidLink will leverage all of the bandwidth that's available to the client. So you can work on any connection you want, but we can only deliver data at the speed of that connection. So people ask us, based on that, what happens if my video bitrate per second is bigger than my internet connection per second in terms of the data rate. Now LucidLink has some really unique technical capabilities that minimize the negative effects of low bandwidth or high latency connections to the cloud, or distance, the time it takes to reach the cloud storage and back again. And we do that through efficient caching of data, but only the data that the applications require. So you imagine you have a 90-minute video file, but you only need 3 minutes from the start, 4 minutes from the end, or however your sequence is made up. LucidLink will only deliver those smaller parts of the file without the need to bring the entire file down. And the key thing that improves the performance the more you use it is that the data that you access is cached client-side, but only the bits that you've used. And the other key thing is that cache is updated in real time on the block level. So as files change in the cloud, everybody's small blocks of data they might previously have used will be updated automatically as well. So we're not moving.
So they
large
kind
amounts
of
data.
get marked as dirty and then realigned with the new data that's available.
Exactly, but on the block level. And so this is a key differentiator.
Yeah,
There's no need to synchronize the entire file, just the parts of the files that have changed. Now, you know, we find most of our users can work fine on a home broadband connection. You know, there's various ways you can give yourself the best chance of success. Connect via Ethernet, for example. Have a fast SSD on your local device to act as that cache. And the cache can be anywhere from 100 megabytes to 10 terabytes, so it's a really flexible way.
And
to
do you guys have some kind of clever anticipation of what the client's likely to be going for next, that kind of thing?
Absolutely, yes. So we offer pre-fetching of the blocks, and we also offer the ability, in fact, to pre-fetch all of the blocks of the file if you wanted to. But it's different from a download workflow because the file path that the file has is maintained. So everybody that's working on a project that references that file has the same file. All we're essentially doing is moving the parts of the data that's required or when they're accessed on demand closer to the application. So you get this seamless experience as an end user that just looks like a local disk without the need to actually have all of your data on the ground.
And I'm guessing Windows, Mac file paths, that all just kind of works?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's kind of application dependent, I would say.
Right.
So when you're working in Premiere, for example, it can store multiple paths, for Mac or Windows or whatever. But yeah, any application will work. It's another key advantage for the editors or any creative user. It doesn't just have to be video. We have lots of customers in publishing, for example. It can be any type of data you put into LucidLink, and they can use the applications that they're most familiar with, that they can be most creative in, but which is removing the complexities of sourcing the data, of linking the projects, of all of the kind of additional headaches you have to actually start working.
Cool. Now this is a purely geek question here, but are you guys like running this on UDP, or did you kind of go back to Berkeley sockets and do some crazy stuff?
No, we're not using UDP, although LucidLink will outperform file acceleration technologies that leverage that type of connectivity. LucidLink is an extremely secure solution. All of our connectivity is over standard HTTPS, and it's all fully encrypted at rest, the data, and in flight as well. Only, as I say, only the customers can decrypt their data, so we can't decrypt it. And the other thing they can do is they can choose their storage provider, the actual, the data centers that host the data. Those storage providers can't read the data as well, and we partner with hyperscale cloud like IBM, Wasabi. We work with AWS, Azure, GCP, any hyperscale cloud storage provider.
So obviously you are kind of like a big dumb, like not your technology, but to the end user, a dumb.
You're talking about me? No.
Yeah, no, not about you. But to the user, you're just like a regular storage drive, right?
Exactly.
But do you also kind of handle permissions, user permissions, that kind of thing? Is that part of the platform?
Exactly right, yeah. So you're right. To the user, once you log in to the LucidLink client, a drive essentially appears on your machine, just like you've plugged in a disk. Now, what you see in that drive is determined by the privileges that have been set, the permissions that have been set by the administrator of the file space. That can be very granular down to different folder paths, read, write permissions, and so on. And it's really important to consider when your drive appears and a folder with data appears, and it could be hundreds of terabytes of data will instantly appear. That data isn't sent to your machine, it isn't copied to your location. What the administrator of the file space has done is essentially made that data accessible to you from where it already is, which is in a data center in the cloud. If you never double click it or never stream it, it won't begin that instant streaming. So you don't need to worry about the time it takes to open that. Now, the administrators can also remove permissions just as easily as they can grant them. So that falls into our security model as well. If I choose to say, well, my remote editor doesn't need access to this anymore, I simply remove the permission, and the folder will disappear from their connected drive. So it's a really flexible and secure way to collaborate with users around the world.
And do you currently have any kind of long-term archiving strategy on the platform?
Yeah, we offer different file spaces for different use cases. So our most popular product is called an advanced file space, and that comes bundled with our IBM object storage. And that's across different regions around the world with resiliency built in, multi-data center endpoints and all that great stuff. We also offer something called a basic file space, which is more for an active archive workflow. So still gives you instant access to the data, but isn't quite as performant as the advanced file space, which is more for work in progress. Any other archiving or data movement is kind of up to the customer's own policies. Because we look like a disk, you can overlay other services on top, media asset management providers or storage managers that can move data between file spaces and other storage as well.
So it sounds like you've actually very intentionally stayed agnostic to the production environment, what applications they're using and everything. You're really focused on being that simple storage on the client end.
That's exactly right. So, when people think of cloud editing, they often think of connecting to a virtual machine running in the cloud and, a provider supplying the infrastructure to enable that. We're not doing that. We're not spinning up infrastructure for the end users to connect to. The users get to work with their own machines and simply install the LucidLink client, and we efficiently stream the data into it. However, one of the advantages of remaining, not having a specific platform is the customers can choose to spin up virtual machines in the cloud if they want to as well. All you have to do there is install the LucidLink client, and all of your data is instantly accessible within that provider. So you can move and change between virtual machine providers if you wanted to do that without having to move the data between providers as well, because once it's in LucidLink, the data is already accessible everywhere. You just have to install the client.
And one of the things I constantly hear is just the cloud is too expensive. So let's say I'm spinning up a boutique studio, maybe 8 to 20 creatives, something like that. What would be the kind of business case compared with maybe just buying a bunch of network attached storage at my local facility? If I decide, I'm not going to do that, I'm actually going to do LucidLink, we're going to put everything in the cloud, what's the pricing differential look like?
Yeah, it's a fair question. It's a great question. And that's something we've been hearing a lot from our customers about at the show, actually, is when people initially start thinking about LucidLink as a platform, they're thinking of it as a storage solution, and they think of it as a terabyte to terabyte cost comparison. However, our customers come to us and say, now we've been using it for 12 months, 24 months, however long, we've started to realize it's a lot more than storage, and it's providing value outside of that simple how much does the storage cost. You factor in things like the administration of on-prem devices, staff to manage and administer that, the power, the consumption, the challenges of connecting remote collaborators with it, the security issues of having to copy data to other platforms to share it out, or the technical complexity of installing VPN to facilitate remote access into an on-premise service. So they've started to see other value in the product beyond just the storage, and that could be things like lower staff turnover, simply because they're happier, they can work more efficiently, they can work from where they want, either in an office or at home. So yeah, lots of ways to extract value from LucidLink. And sorry, one more point.
Please.
We don't charge egress, even on our production high-performance file spaces.
That is a big issue for a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah, and we were the first to introduce a high-performance, edit-capable storage platform in the cloud with zero egress, which is the cost of retrieving data from the cloud for anyone that may not have heard that term.
Thank you.
So yeah, lots of great ways to save money.
And really what you're saying is you're kind of eliminating the need for an IT person at your facility, so that salary, that cost, and a lot of those other things, like you say, power, that are not inconsiderable in this day and age. Those things are things you have to count against the cost of the service if you were trying to do it locally. And then you get the benefit of the cloud. I
mean, in some cases, yes, but I would say, we work very closely with the IT administrators, certainly of our enterprise customers and our larger customers that have that type of role. So it's not about removing people from the workforce, it's about enabling them to have time to do other things and be more productive, be more creative.
Removing them. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no,
we're trying to save jobs. We're trying to keep everyone employed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it does. It gives people time, takes away the headaches of doing things they don't want to do. Look, there's loads of advancements. Most of the technology will be about automation, will be about helping people be more efficient, and that's exactly what LucidLink does. So yeah,
the better spin is it allows your clients to be productive so they can hire more IT people for all the extra work they're getting.
Exactly,
right?
and I'll add, your creatives are a lot more productive, a lot happier, so you're making better content, you're meeting deadlines, you're adhering to your customers' strict InfoSec requirements, so it opens up a whole lot of possibility, for our customers, and this is exactly what they're telling us, by the way. So
yeah, actually, tell me, you got a booth on the floor. What's
Yep.
the buzz been here at 2024 NAB?
It genuinely has been great. This is the first time I've managed to get away from the booth. We've been so busy, and we've got a big booth over in South Lower. We've got lots of the LucidLink team here with us. We've got 9 demo stations on the booth. We've been back to back, since the beginning of the show. And it wasn't until I left the stand, to be honest, and obviously I would say this, but the buzz really does feel great over there, having walked through some of the other halls. And again, we're hearing it from people that are coming to see us. They're excited to see us. They're excited to tell us about the value they've seen in adopting LucidLink. For whatever reason, whether it's a technical person or a creative persona or a supervisor or a manager, they're all seeing different ways that LucidLink has made their lives easier and enabled them to create better content. For example, I mentioned deadlines. Now, LucidLink does allow you to work faster. If you say to someone, I need this by Friday, 5 o'clock, if they do it on LucidLink, they could probably finish it by Thursday lunchtime or whatever, but that doesn't mean they do get it to you early. What it gives them is an additional day and a half to create something even better. So you'll still get it at 5 o'clock Friday, but it'll be a lot more work will have gone into it rather than the administration of moving files and copying and linking and all the things people don't want to do. They want to just get creative, and make their lives easier to create better work.
Know what the producers want to hear? They want to hear that they finish earlier, but...
Well, you can say, actually, I need it by Thursday lunchtime, and now LucidLink will help them do it.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Alex. Been really good talking to you, just hearing about the platform.
Great.
And people, they want to check you out on the web. It is...
LucidLink.com. Can I mention what we're showing at the show?
Sure, yeah, please do.
Excellent. So we're here this year to, show the current shipping version of the product, which is fantastic. And we're also showing a sneak preview, if you like, of the LucidLink 3.0 community preview. This is the next big version of LucidLink, and it is adding so much more capability and so much more efficiency to the product than we currently have. Some of the highlights of that include 2 brand new panels for Adobe Premiere, currently available on the shipping product as well, and After Effects. We have previewing web-based access. Previously, we were only providing access through our client on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. We now have the web-based client. We have Android applications showing streaming onto mobile devices. iOS is coming soon. And we have a really streamlined sign-up process now that means you literally can be up and running in seconds rather than minutes. And one of the key things for our Mac OS users is we've really simplified the installation process on Mac OS. Previously, it involved a couple of reboots, changing some settings, and anyone with an Apple Silicon M1, M2, M3 device will know what I'm talking about. All of that has gone. No reboot required, full native support for Mac OS, which is fantastic. Still maintaining our extremely high security principles as well. So really exciting stuff at the show, and the feedback's been fantastic.
Very cool. And if someone just wanted to get to know the platform, dabble in it, see if it's for them, what's the best approach?
Yeah, great question. Glad you asked. LucidLink.com. You can get a 14-day free trial, no credit card required, just an email address. We've got loads of kind of get started videos to walk you through the process. And like we said earlier, for the end user, it's super simple. You install the client, you log in, and a drive appears. If you know what to do, when you plug in a drive and some files appear, you know how to use LucidLink. So LucidLink.com, sign up for the free trial, and change your life.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex.
No problem, Damien. Thank you.